Zach, you're almost back in California where you started about a year ago. At 17, what motivates you to sail around the globe?
Well, sailing's what I've done my whole life, and it's kind of always wanted to go sail sometime, by myself, or not necessarily by myself, but always wanted to get back out in the ocean since we've been living in Thousand Oaks for the past few years. And, sailing around the world by myself was a way that I could get out here at my age and really do something I love to do. So, something I've always wanted to do ever since I read Robin Graham's book. He was the first young guy to sail around the world, and yeah, I should be actually setting the record for youngest person to sail around the world in about a little less than a month here.
But you have competition. A British teen, Mike Perham, is, as we speak right now, trying to become the youngest person to sail around the globe as well. So, in a sense, the race is on. Knowing that Mike is out there, has that affected you at all?
It hasn't affected my trip at all. I left California when I was 16, wanted to get back while I was still 17, and I'll do that just fine. I don't think Mike Perham's even gone halfway around the world yet, and he's actually in New Zealand repairing his tiller arm or his tillers that have broken like 3 times on this trip. So yeah, I
You've met Mike in South Africa, where you both coincided and became friendly, yeah?
yeah, I mean I've met him a couple times. We're not good friends. I mean I know him. He's a cool guy, and we both kind of have the same background, as far as sailing our whole lives. So it's kind of get on well. But yeah, we're kind of he's in a 50-foot race boat with all the sponsorship, and I've got a smaller boat that I've done myself. So it's kind of a different trip as far as our routes and boats we're on goes. But it's pretty cool that we're both doing it at the same time.
It does sound like a little competition, no?
Yeah, I mean, there's it's kind of a competition, but there's nothing I can really do about it. I'm just sailing my best, and I'll be finished the next 3 weeks here, and I don't wish anything bad to happen to him, but we'll just see how the rest of his trip goes. He's got to still go around Cape Horn, so it's quite a feat he's got left to do.
Zach, what's been the most dangerous part of your trip so far? I heard you had a close encounter with pirates?
Yeah, off of the coast of Indonesia, I was coming from Australia to Cocos Keeling, and ended up going a little bit too close to the coast of Indonesia, where it's kind of notorious for piracy because I had light wind and had this boat follow me around, and I called in the Australian Coast Watch, and as soon as they came over, the pirates took off.
Zach, what about school? Have you been able to keep up with your studies?
No, I'm about a year and a half ahead, so I didn't really technically have to do school this year, but I have like 3 classes I have to finish when I get back to California before I graduate high school. So it shouldn't be much of a problem. I have like a year of history, science, something else. So
What about college? Is that in your plans?
actually, I'll probably just homeschool my last 3 classes, and then we'll figure out what's going to happen with college as I've finished up all the stuff with this trip.
Zach, what's next when you arrive in California? What will you be doing?
I should be in about middle to end of June right now is scheduled. It's my last stop before California, so it just depends on the winds and all that.
How expensive is it to sail around the world, and how are you paying for it?
Yeah, well, I've got a few sponsors along the way. Not too many, a lot of equipment sponsors and stuff, and the rest of the money I'm borrowing from my dad. And
Is it costing a couple of $100,000?
yeah, it's probably costs close to that. Over $100,000 definitely. But I did buy the boat myself. I had savings, and we did got everything up to par. Used a lot of sponsorship, but I'm borrowing money from my dad for the rest of it, and I was paying back when I get back to California. So yeah,
All right, Zach, thanks so much for joining us from Panama.
awesome. Good talking to you guys.